You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Tuesday, April 7th. I'm Johnny Connor. Maria will be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Four Things to Know. Let's get to your top story right away today. Number one, it's grabbing a lot of attention. The Minneapolis City Council might consider the idea of legalizing adult sex venues and bathhouses. These would be places where consenting adults could engage in sexual activity. The City Council is talking that through today to decide whether they will further look into several ordinances that would allow sex venues to operate after a 38-year ban in the city. Now, for some background, the Star Tribune reported that the last bathhouse to operate legally in Minneapolis closed in 1988. Adult bathhouses and sex venues were a component of nightlife prior to the AIDS crisis in the 80s. But back in 1988, the city of Minneapolis banned businesses that facilitated what the city described as high-risk sexual conduct. But now some members of the city council would like to see that reversed. Minneapolis City Council President Elliot Payne told the Star Tribune that, quote, parties and events that operate as adult sex venues already happen in the shadows, and we are trying to ensure that they are safe for patrons, especially when LGBTQ plus individuals are under attack by the federal government, close quote. Now, we are going to have more tonight on this story on WCCO TV. You can also check out WCCO.com right now as you listen to this for an extended article. Your second thing to know today, a new lease on life for a man wrongfully convicted of first-degree murder. 38-year-old Jarrell Brown will walk free after spending nearly 18 years in prison. Today, a Hennepin County judge vacated his 2008 murder conviction. Back then, Brown was found guilty in the shooting of Darius Miller. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty dismissed those charges today. Moriarty said today that at the time of the trial in 2008, the ballistics analysis was inconclusive, so Brown was convicted based on a mix of circumstantial evidence and incentivized witnesses. Some of the witnesses included two jailhouse informants who actually received benefits in their own cases in exchange for their testimony in Brown's case. Now, Moriarty went on to say today that the advancements right now in our technology allowed two experts to re-examine the evidence, and they both came to the same conclusion. Brown is innocent. Moriarty said in part, quote, my thoughts are with Mr. Brown as he is released from prison after serving nearly 18 years for a crime he did not commit, and especially with Darius Miller's loved ones. For nearly 2 decades, there appeared to be closure, and while freeing Mr. Brown is the only acceptable course of action, I want to acknowledge how difficult this may be for them. Number 3. Doctors are sending a serious warning to families today after seeing a surge in injuries, all tied to e-bikes and scooters. WCCO's Adam Duxter heard from doctors, families, and even elected officials today at Gillette Children's, and Adam says they have seen a big uptick in these crashes.
We're told it's more than a 9-time increase in e-bike accidents seen here at Regions alone over the course of the last 3 years. And those are not minor accidents or minor injuries either. We're talking things like traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and in some cases, these can be fatal accidents. And today, doctors say the surge we've seen here in the Twin Cities is mirroring a surge we're seeing across the country in these types of crashes. They say the frustrating thing for them is knowing a lot of these situations are largely preventable. They're calling for families to make sure that their kids are at the very least wearing a helmet if they're getting on an e-bike or an e-scooter, but also to make sure that kids are properly trained to ride on the machine to begin with. We also heard from one family who lost their daughter to an e-scooter accident in 2024. Here's what they had to say.
Holidays are different. Family pictures are different. Watching her friends grow up, going to dances, getting their driver's license. Those are moments we'll never have with Stella. And that's why I'm standing here today. Because this can happen to anyone. We were careful parents. Stella was responsible. We never imagined something like this would happen to our family. But all it took was one ride without a helmet.
They say with the springtime here and more people likely getting out on the roads and the trails on e-bikes and e-scooters, they want to get the message out now.
Let's get to number 4, drama at the state capitol. It's happening on both sides of the aisle. Ethics complaints are being filed against state legislators. House Democrats say they plan to file ethics complaints against 2 Republican lawmakers involved in a DWI stop. Less than 2 weeks ago, Representative Elliot Angin was arrested in White Bear Lake on suspicion of driving while impaired. You probably remember that story. Angin now faces misdemeanor DWI and speeding charges after a preliminary breath test showed nearly twice the legal limit. Police say that Representative Walter Hudson was also a passenger in the car at the time. Now, the day before, the lawmakers were seen drinking at a restaurant in the afternoon. That was an hour before the House gavelled in the floor session. House Democrats say they plan to file ethics complaints against both lawmakers. Now, Representative Hudson responded. He posted on social media in response, calling it, quote, a dumb move. He added that, quote, you'd think they'd have learned by now, never give me a platform. Now, WCCO is told that Representatives Angin and Hudson will both be removed from their committee assignments today. Let's get to the other side of the aisle. Minnesota House Republicans say they plan to file an ethics complaint against a Democratic lawmaker. GOP leaders announced Monday that they're targeting Representative Alex Falconer of Eden Prairie. They allege Falconer kept ties to environmental groups that he previously lobbied for, also while introducing legislation that those same groups support. But today, Falconer responded. He said in part that, quote, my legislative work on this issue was vetted with nonpartisan House experts. It is all above board. This is simply a desperate attempt to deflect from clearly unethical conduct from Hudson and Angin. Why else would they bring this up now when I've been working on these bills since I was seated? Those are the 4 things to know today. Let's check in on our next weather forecast now.
I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. Tonight we're down to 38, your overnight low with cloud cover in place. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer, 62, breezy with rain showers for the afternoon and evening.
And now, here's more to know.
No school today in Wilmer because of a threat. Wilmer Public Schools wrote on their website that the threat came in after school ended yesterday. The district said that they and local authorities needed more time to determine if it was a credible threat. So they decided to close school today out of an abundance of caution. The man accused of killing his 20-year-old coworker in Cokato has been found incompetent to stand trial. 41-year-old Daniel DeLong was charged with second-degree murder for killing Amber Check last November. A psychologist determined that DeLong, quote, lacks the capacity to proceed to trial at this time due to mental illness. So for now, DeLong will remain in custody. That's according to the Wright County attorney, who added he has filed a petition to commit DeLong as mentally ill and dangerous. A hearing for that commitment is scheduled for the end of May. It's one of the most famous churches in the country, but now the Basilica of St. Mary will never be the same. After 111 years in operation, it is time for a major makeover. Yesterday, the Basilica started a $45 million renovation to redo every inch of the church. Here's more from the Basilica's Director of Ministries.
If you don't look closely, you might say, well, it's okay. But if you look a little closer, you see all the netting that we have up. It's because plaster was falling from the ceiling. If you look close at the walls are really, really dirty. The plaster in the ceiling needs help. The windows need help. The floors under the pews need help. The pews need help. The church needs help.
It's time.
It's time.
They are refurbishing every single pew. The hope is to get the old charm, but brighten things up. Now, the deadline for the renovations, it's Palm Sunday in 2027. Until then, they will hold Mass in the basement. Today, lawmakers discussed a bill that could help bring a major new hockey destination to the Twin Cities. Lawmakers are considering about $20 million in state funding to help build the Minnesota Hockey Hall of Fame in Inver Heights. The project is already in the works. It's a roughly $70 million facility. It's expected to break ground this summer and open around 2028. Now, plans call for a massive complex with a museum, an NHL-sized rink, a performance space, and and even a hockey-themed restaurant. The bill would also establish $5 million in bonds for roads, utilities, and other infrastructure around the site. We have some music news to get to today. Lady Gaga is supposed to perform at Grand Casino Arena on Thursday and Friday, but she canceled last night's show in Montreal. The pop star said her doctor advised her not to perform due to a respiratory infection. Gaga told fans on Instagram that she could not feel worse about letting them down. Now, we did speak to a Grand Casino Arena spokesperson. They told us that they have not received any updates as far as any changes for her shows in St. Paul later this week. Across town, another big show in Minneapolis is this weekend. Country music star Morgan Wallen is kicking off his new tour at US Bank Stadium. The singer has booked back-to-back nights on Friday and Saturday. Tickets are still available. We're sticking with music. New today, Bob Dylan. Yeah, he announced he's coming to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. He will be in Shakopee this summer on July 6th. Tickets go on sale later this week. I really can't wait to check out the amphitheater. I am seeing Chris Stapleton later in July. Yeah, pretty excited about that. It's supposed to be pretty cool. And lastly, one more thing to get to. Another performer has been announced for this year's Grandstand concert series at the State Fair. And country music fans might be excited.
Find out a back door with a limb. Still there to hang our shirts. If you ain't got nothing else to do tonight, let's see if that truck still works.
Yeah, that's right. Brad Paisley coming back to Minnesota. He will perform on Thursday, September 3rd. Now, tickets also go on sale later this week. That's happening on Friday. Paisley has graced the grandstand stage in the past. He actually performed in 2007 when he had then teenage Taylor Swift open for him. Can you believe that? His guest this year will be Avery Anna. Wow, that would have been crazy to see Taylor Swift back in 2007 at the grandstand. All right, let's get to sports, more of my wheelhouse. The Wild are back in action tonight in St. Paul. The Seattle Kraken are in town. That's at 7 p.m. Timberwolves against the Pacers tonight in Indiana. Now, you might not believe me. The Pacers are 18-60 this year. Do you remember they were in the NBA Finals last year against Oklahoma City? Wow, that's a terrible record. This should be a win for the Wolves. They have been struggling, though. 3 losses in a row, mounting injuries. We'll see if they can get a W. Twins host the Tigers again tonight. That's at 6:40 at Target Field. We did get a win yesterday. Let's go. They beat the Tigers in Game 1 of the series last night, 7-3.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
There are now thousands of friendly bugs roaming around the Mall of America. Yeah, the shopping center held its annual Ladybug release today. Now, the event celebrates Earth Month. Leaders say there are more than 30,000 living plants throughout the mall, and the ladybugs actually serve as a natural pesticide to maintain all of their plants' health. This morning, guests actually at the mall got to release a cup of the bugs, which will now fly and crawl all over the mall. And get this, they will never get gathered back up.
This is their new home. The kids and the families release them. You can see they're crawling all over me right now. And we put them on our plants, all of the live plants here. They take care of the other pests, and they live out their lives naturally here at Mall of America.
That was Dan Jasper with the mall. Organizers say this is the biggest crowd they've ever had for what I'm going to call Bug Release Day at the mall. Apparently hundreds of people attended. Interesting. I'll sure be on the lookout for those bugs next time I'm at the mall. I didn't know they did this. Kind of cool. I'm Johnny Connor. This has been 4 Things to Know. We are here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. Thanks so much for listening today, everybody. Have a good night.
I'm Maria Lizignoli, and this podcast comes to you from the WCCO podcast studio.
I'm Johnny Connor, and this is where you'll find the latest news of the day with us on 4 Things to Know.
I'm Mariel Mose, and I bring you the stories behind the female athletes redefining the game on women in sports.
I'm Adam Duxter. Join me for a deep dive into faith and what it means to Minnesotans around the state on Bigger Than Belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.